a lot of industries have been moving out of Silicon Valley too, post-COVID. So, a lot of headquarters have moved to Texas, on East Coast. The biggest challenge one can see is like accommodation. But if you do your research before heading outside, you can always find folks going to the same universities, join social groups together, meet within the same city, and then that makes it a little bit simpler. Like I said, I didn't have prior experience, but by the time I was graduating, I had worked on certain projects which made me ready for the industry.
Hi, everyone. I hope that you have been enjoying the episodes that we have recorded up until now and published for you on YouTube as well as on Spotify in this Study Abroad podcast series. We have talked to a variety of speakers up until now. We have talked to visa experts, we have talked to faculties from top universities, we have also talked to some industry experts and some career counselors themselves. If you have not checked out these episodes, I think this is high time that you should go to Great Learning channel on YouTube and watch all these episodes. I can guarantee you that this is going to certainly help you in your search right now if you're applying for universities or looking for one. So in this series, in this Study Abroad podcast series, which is powered by Great Learning, today I have Ateiv Jain. I have Atif with me, who is an industry expert. And today's topic, which is to get in the insights from industry expert on the rising demand of STEM specialized MS and MBA program. We have a perfect speaker, that is Ateiv, who has been working in the US for many years now and who has also studied in the US at one of the top universities in the US. I'm talking about San Jose State University. It's one of the top public universities, public institutions in the US. And Ateiv has been working at Nutanix for past 5 years as member of technical staff. And so Atif has also worked before at PayPal, Calix, Adobe, so has a bunch of experience to share and talk about his entire journey. And I'm sure that his experiences that he's going to be sharing today are certainly going to be helpful for all you students who are right now preparing or curating your journey towards US or any other country that you want to study in. Welcome, Atif, and thank you so much for taking out time to speak to our students today.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me today. I'm glad that on this platform I can share my journey and help my fellow students, and so that they can plan and whatever they want to do, essentially, like prepare for the GREs and do masters, or even stay at home in India, essentially, and continue what they're doing here. So anything to help my fellow folks. When you do your undergrad in India, a lot of folks are not sure what sort of career they want. I was not an exception, another general student, and the reason I decided to go for my master's was I wasn't sure like what field is best for me, but I kind of had a sense of the industry I want to be in. Like network and security was one field that I was very intrigued about during my undergrad and also in school. So I looked up and found that there are so many courses outside India, be it US, even Australia, and pick any country as a matter of fact. That boiled down to US essentially because a lot of factors. Firstly was the curriculum, the job opportunities, and also, of course, the money factor comes into the picture. But what I mostly I was able to boil down as to why I want to go to US was I have a lot of family members and friends who have been there before me, and I kind of got an insight of what kind of you can gain from doing a course from there. So that was, I think, from a personal perspective. But then when we talk about how you prepare for, or actually how I prepared for applying for universities, boiling down to certain university that I want to apply to, I would say there were few key factors. First, like I said, coursework. Like I said, I was very interested in networking, so I did my research, talked to consultants who help you to get and choose your universities, help me out. So that was one. Second was just looking at the coursework is not enough. You one also needs to see in depth what the coursework is, what sort of subjects you're going to be studying, who is going to teach that, and what impact it will be on your career, but also the impact on the industry, right? Because we want to stay ahead of the curve. We want to be preparing ourselves so that when we get integrated into the industry, we are ready for it, and it should not be a shocker. So that was second. And then opportunities, right? I'm talking about I moved to the States in 2014. Back then, like, network security was was on the rise, and since it was my topic of interest, I took that journey. So based on that, I was like, okay, I have to do this course and this university. Another factor is budget, right? Um, we need to be very considerate about it, because it can impact your decision, essentially, is what I'm getting at, right? So the good part about US is there are public universities, there are private/public universities, meaning a lot of government funds, certain programs in certain private universities, and then of course there are private universities. For me, I wanted to be, I want to go to a university where um, it's not that expensive, but also I didn't want to compromise on the, the kind of coursework that they're going to share. So that was and being a state university like San Jose State, their fee structure is very nice in terms of it's affordable compared to other certain private universities. Apart from San Jose State, I had boiled down to three universities: San Jose State, NYU, and UT Arlington.
But post-COVID, a lot of things are different, right? So there are hybrid working opportunities as well. And these students, like you mentioned, that, wherever you're going to study, if you have a STEM course that you're doing, and if you have an aspiration to be a Silicon Valley, there's obviously and always a path towards the same. Because after you finish your degree, you can always move to Silicon Valley, or maybe initially you can find opportunities around where you have studied and then eventually move to Silicon Valley. So do you agree with me on this?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And like you pointed out about COVID, right? I'm not sure how much folks know here, but a lot of industries have been moving out of Silicon Valley too, post-COVID. So, a lot of headquarters have moved to Texas, on East Coast, and also it also depends on the industry you are in. For example, if you are into mechanical engineering, right? Most of the companies that you will see or the headquarters where they hire are based on East Coast, be it Michigan and surrounding areas.
Yeah.
If you are into, let's say, data science, there's a lot of scope in New York, New Jersey area, and Texas has pretty much everything going on there. Be it data science, be it tech. Like Austin is one of the biggest, city that's coming up with everything.
So you mentioned that you took help from consultancies, right? They helped you with giving you a few shortlisted universities which suit your profile as well as the major that you were looking for, which was computer engineering, right? And apart from that, did they also help you with respect to the application filing, perhaps your SOP guidance, perhaps your visa assistance, all of that? Now, you shared your motivation and how you went about your master's degree, but now you have already talked about the challenges. It was challenging to shortlist a university to prepare for GRE, and I'm sure it was a costly affair as well to prepare for GRE and give time and all of that. But after you reached the university for your master's degree, was it your first time outside India?
Oh, yes, it was my first time. Yes.
Okay. So tell me about the challenges or your academic experience in the US. How did that go? Once you reached over there, was there a day when you felt that I didn't make a right decision about coming?
Well, interesting question. Well, the thing is, it is always challenging when you step out of your comfort zone, right? And but there's also a sense of excitement, and what you're trying to, the purpose you're there for, right? So with that in my mind and heart, we took every day as a challenge. But the good part is, I wasn't alone. I had fellow students just like me, So that helps. You make friends, you deal with circumstances and situations together, and just, step by step, you get there. Um, in terms of like, I can break down into a couple of pointers essentially, like outside like university, like you first, the biggest challenge one can see is like accommodation,
Yeah.
right? So that takes time. But if you do your research before heading outside, you can always find folks going to the same universities, join social groups together, meet within the same city, and then that makes it a little bit simpler. Like you have like a buddy with you always to consult and take the right decision. So that's that. And then you like when you start going to the university, there'll be orientation. And the good part about that is they make you welcome. They make you feel like you're not alone, because they give you all sort of resources and help, be it could be financial, could be mental, could be even accommodation, as a matter of fact. So because there'll always be a bunch of folks who won't find accommodation or won't find the right people around them. So, but the good part is they're always going to be help. So based on like my experience was pretty good. Like my seniors from my college, they came to receive us at the airport. Made sure that we are comfortable. Made us stay at their place for a day or two, and then once everybody figured out the accommodation, we moved into our own spaces. But yeah, it takes like a village to make you feel comfortable, and I'm glad I got that support from my fellow students. So
Find your food, all of that. So would you be, you have done it all. You were very patient, and you'd like to mention one step at a time, step by step, you could manage that journey, and you also got that support group around you.
right.
Uh, all the other students who are not able to take that pressure and are dropping out, I'm sure dropping out is also not an easy decision, because all of them have spent months together to prepare to go there, and then money has been spent, time has been spent. Would you be able to give some tips over here that how these students should be actually go about this journey, or how should they be preparing for it so well in advance, mentally as well as logistics, that this stage doesn't arrive?
Absolutely. Well, I'll answer your, answer it in two parts. First is like, it is challenging, like I said, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of folks saying the same. Couple of things like I have few examples, but in general, what I'll just say is that one needs to first of all communicate. The biggest thing that I see when we step out of a comfort zone is we tend to close in rather than involve folks who can help you out.
Yeah.
First thing is, if you are not feeling comfortable, talk to your friends, right? If you don't get an answer, talk to your teachers, your professors, your department heads. Because they have support groups, be it financial, be it mental, be it you're not able to cope up with any subject. As let's say there's one subject that you are not getting at all, right? So they are technical assistant who can spend time with you. They are going to be seniors, your peers who can help you with it. So seek that help. As a student, what I used to follow is I used to spend 1 hour to myself, wherein I like to do something which motivates me every day. Right? It could be running, it could be doing yoga. For me, it was like playing soccer, and I would just do that because what it would help me is it would just mentally and physically put me in a space where no matter what the problem is, I was ready to deal with it. So, and we neglect it when we are in the difficult situation. Folks kind of run away from it. But I'm telling you, it does wonders if you just do these basic stuff.
I think it's a great tip. So, communicating, however, this is a very basic thing to do. It becomes a challenge itself. They sometimes, many Indian students and other international students also, they face challenge with respect to the accent. The fact that he speaks in a different or the levels classes in a different accent, and to cope with that also becomes a challenge. So, would you have anything to say to these students who are facing these kind of challenges?
To give you my example, I was a shy student when I was in school,
Okay.
but playing sports, interacting with different people kind of gave me a platform to express myself. And it took me some time to use that and then, channel that into my education system as well, where I would, when I'm not able to understand something, I would seek help. A very basic example. This is a personal experience. When I started my master's course, I didn't had any prior experience, right? So a lot of folks in my class, I'm talking about 50, 60 odd folks, and I would say 70% of them had like prior experience in development, being in certain field. And I was like, why are they able to solve certain things and I'm not able to just, cope up? Um, so like, first of all, it takes time to sink in. First you need to understand what the problem is, where the problem is. Once you understand that, then you need to figure out how to tackle it. So what I did is I just buddied with a person who had experience, and I told them up straight, hey, this is the challenge that I'm facing. I don't have experience working in the industry, so the angle that you're bringing in, I wasn't even aware of. So you need to talk to more and more people, and someone will understand you, right? And then you need to buddy with them. And if you don't find that, just reach out to your professors, right? And to get help, because one way or the other, we have to bridge that gap. Second is we talked about like accent. Yes, it can be an issue, but we have, again, it comes down to you have your friends around, you have your technical assistant. To give you a perspective, more or less in master's education in US, you will find a lot of Asian people, like comprising of Indians, Chinese, and a few percentage here and there. So 9 out of 10 times the TA is going to be an Indian, right? So if there is a gap where you're not able to understand, you can always revisit, talk to them, talk to your, peers, talk to the professor, right? Hey, is there a recorded session for this, what we just covered, where I can, stop, break, understand, and then come back with questions?
Atif, at this point, I would like to tell you that we also have a format called hybrid format for the master's degree from all these top universities that I was talking about. Mm-hmm. Now, in hybrid format, what happens that the students study for the first year or first few credits. In some programs, it's only for 6 months. They study it online with Great Learning's academic team's assistance, and then they move to the campus. So in many courses, the online credits are also being taught by the university faculty. That also gives these students the opportunity to get adjusted with the new pedagogy and, of course, the accent that we were talking about. So, and then you talked about that, you can go back and rewatch or listen to a recording as many times to get adjusted with it better. And all this is happening in this hybrid format that we have launched with many universities, that, these students can revisit the sessions which are recorded at the time of getting delivered. And then when they reach the campus, they're already familiar with a lot more things, and especially when it comes to the faculty and the teaching format and the assessment, all of that. So that also helps them settle down faster.
Yeah, that's great, actually. I remember back in my day, there weren't many institutions or organizations that used to do this. So, kudos to you folks. This is great.
This is something which is also being adapted by many top universities, Ivy League universities as well. Most corporate universities are becoming, more innovative when it comes to the entire thought process of delivering education and what all ways it can be made more affordable and more accessible. And we are being partners with these universities who are experimenting at this point of time.
Well, yeah, and it makes sense. It's a win-win if you see, like, we talked about from a student's perspective, right? Think it from a professor's perspective. It's so disheartening for a professor if he's not able to communicate well to this entire audience. So if we are making efforts here itself, wherein we are bridging that gap, so when the student goes there, it's going to be, good for everybody. So yeah, that's a very good thing that's happening now.
Wonderful. You talked about that you did not have prior experience when you went for your master's degree. And after that, so you did your master's degree, and after that, how did you go about finding your first job? Because these students, and I believe it was the same rule even earlier, that you need to get this job within 90 days of finishing your master's degree. Am I right there?
That is correct. Yes.
So many get really afraid of this time limit that, okay, whatever, if I'm not going to get a job within 90 days, I'll have to be coming back to India. How did you go about it?
Firstly, it starts from day one. If I have to, do it all over again, I'll start putting in more effort from day one in networking and communicating with people. To start with, like there are two aspects of it. So I'll just quickly touch bases on like CPT and OPT, right? So CPT is curriculum optional based training, which a student can do while they're at university, and OPT is the 24 months that you get once you essentially graduate. So how to take on this is, think of it as that your aim should be, I want a CPT internship within the time frame when I'm studying. So talk to your professors, talk to your seniors who are already ahead of you. Either they're doing their CPT or they're getting ready to graduate and uh, getting a full-time job. What that helps is, it helps you to understand what is needed, firstly, and how much you have to do to get there,
Yeah.
right? So that's one. Second is networking via LinkedIn, via there are even more platforms now, but I still stick to LinkedIn. What I used to do is, like, first 2 semesters, it was purely just focusing on the curriculum, doing your project, and preparing yourself.
Correct.
From third semester onwards, which is the second year, I started interacting with a lot of HR recruiters who specifically work on university hires. I would reach out to them. Hey, uh, this is my area of interest. I'm going to be graduating in 6 months, and I'll be eligible for CPT. And I would just want to explore what all opportunities are there. Um, while doing that, over the period of time, I realized the more personal message or the way you communicate with them, the better it is. Because what we want to do is, we want to leave a mark wherein whenever they talk about this internship, they should remember you, right? In some way or the other.
Yeah.
Either you connect on your, the kind of projects you have done before, this, or something personal that you very relate with the company that you applied for. So make sure it's a personal touch whenever reaching out to folks. Uh, another thing that I did, and which I feel does wonders, and I still feel that's one of the most important thing to do, is look up folks on LinkedIn who are like who have 10, 15 years of experience. And one, like, for example, I looked up to people who are network architects, security architects, and they're doing what their trajectory have been. And just a simple message: hey, I love going to your profile. I'm just starting off. If there is any internship or projects that you are looking for, where new graduates are needed, I would love to be part of it. So, and to be honest, the first internship that I landed was this way. So what I'm saying is, there are many ways to do it. What fits, like, whoever, like, you have to see what fits best for you. Apart from LinkedIn and stuff, there will be college, fairs.
Yeah.
And right, and those are very helpful. What it gives you a platform of of all the companies out there, or at least the tie-ups the university has. Worst case scenario, even if you don't get an opportunity or a internship opportunity, but you can always network with people. Like, I remember our professors would, there was one activity that we did was, we all prepared our resumes, and our professor suggested not to write your names, and then we circulated within the room, and everybody just marked, hey, this is what is missing based on my experience, right? So what it gave is, like, 40 odd people giving feedback to your resume. Oh, you could do this better, or you should remove this, it's not relevant. So it, like I said, it again boils down to communicating and working together. So the more you engage with your professors and college, the better it's for you.
Absolutely. Now that we are talking about jobs, so right now, so when you went for a job, you changed your F1 visa to OPT, I believe, right?
Yeah. So F1, then I was eligible for CPT, so I did like 3 months of internship, and then once I got my first job, I moved from, I was still on F1 but on OPT. Yes.
You went to OPT, and after that, now are you on H1?
That's correct. So once you're an OPT, an employer can file for your H1, which happens like every year. I think 1st April is the when the lottery happens, and it's a lottery, so it's purely luck. If your name gets picked up for it, you then move from F1 to your H1B visa, which is the working class visa in US.
Correct. And I think that's also another reason why STEM programs are highly in demand at this point of time, because it gives you an OPT for up to 3 years and you get multiple opportunities to be part of that lottery.
That is correct. Absolutely. I think in recent times, I was reading somewhere they have increased sometime, like you said, 3 years now. I think previously it was 2 years.
So a few minutes ago, you mentioned that no matter where you are, which university you're graduating from, if you are doing a STEM course, you have a good number of opportunities available for you and in Silicon Valley and all over the US. So
Absolutely.
I think please help us understand. We have heard that right now the job market in US is not at its peak, right? Not doing
Yeah.
well. But then, if is it true for all the degree holders, or things are better for people who are doing, in-demand programs such as machine learning, data science, artificial intelligence? Are companies looking for these graduates even now?
Based on my reading of the market post COVID, is that what happened in like the market crash in 2008, people were not ready and it happened, right? So there was a lot of companies that they were doing amazing stuff, building new products, didn't survive because of that. Right now, uh, the learnings from 2008 and what the industry leaders are doing is they are hiring less and they are, you know, preparing if there is another downfall in the market, right? So the change, that's the major change that I'm seeing in terms of hiring. The work is there, uh, the need is there. It's just that everybody's taking baby steps in getting there. And to answer your second part of the question, the need about, computing, AI, ML, there is need. And that's the future for next 15, 20 years, at least from where I see. Like I work in infrastructure space, which is like cloud computing. Uh, I don't directly work with AI and ML folks, but all of these verticals, if you see, they function together. To run any AI ML, algorithm, you need computing. You need more computing power, and that's where I work in. That's the field where I work in, right? So, if there is a demand in AI ML, there's going to be demand in infrastructure. If there's a demand in infrastructure, there's going to be more and more people who specialize in that industry.
So students, they read all this in news that okay, right now the industries or the organizations are not hiring as much as they were hiring earlier, and then they get into this doubt whether I should go for a master's degree now or not, because again that 90 days sword which is hanging. So what would you advise to these students? Is it a good time for them to go for a master's degree?
At this point of time, I think it's a great time because what the industry is doing is they're following better, I would say, rules to make sure we don't get there. So I would say even if the hiring is not great, let's say 2023 or 24, it's improving, right? And if you are going for your master's right now, it's the perfect time to learn, right? Like that's my mantra as well. Like if there is nothing out there for me as of now, I would just practice, prepare, and be ready when my time comes. No,
Yes.
that's my take on it.
Perfect. Yes. So when you said that you grabbed your internship first, and after that, how did you get your full-time job when you finished your master's degree? Was it through the internship? Was it through a career fair? Was that also through networking that you did on your own?
Yes. So I did not. I had an opportunity to move my internship, like internship to my full time, but I had few credits left in my last semester, which so hence I could not take that opportunity. Uh, but I went to career fairs, and I didn't find something which interested me a lot. So I ended up getting my first job through networking only,
Okay.
LinkedIn, and reaching out to folks uh, where I felt I can, bring something to the table.
Okay. Okay. So what was your first company again? Was it Adobe or?
So Adobe is where I interned, and then Calix was the first company that I worked with.
Okay. And then switching from Calix to another organization and then jumping like that, was it simple enough? Was it hassle free, or there were challenges lying ahead?
There are always going to be challenges, and there is no right or wrong answer to that. Everyone has their own journey. In my case, someone reached out to me, right, and then like how I like to change a job, or I would say I don't want to change job first. First of all, I hate changing jobs. If there is something that I want to do, like based on my experience and what I'm working on, then I would seek out, or if someone reaches out to me, I would be interested. That's what happened with PayPal, and then from PayPal to Nutanix. I that is the kind of direction I wanted to take my career in, and hence I made those jobs.
Correct. Got it. Thank you so much for all those wonderful insights. As in, I'm sure that all that you have talked about from your personal journey is extremely helpful for all the students who are looking for a career in the US at this point of time. You talked about, AI, ML, and the STEM programs and how there is a demand. I must also mention that, at Great Learning, we also help these students prepare for some additional skills, and cloud computing is one of them.
Yeah.
So we do have small certification course modules on cloud computing, on data lifecycle, some case studies, cybersecurity. So what we help students with that, okay, before even your program starts, you can get your hands dirty or get exposure to all these additional skills, and that's going to help you further in the job market. When like you mentioned that when it is about AI ML, it's something, or data science for that matter, which is going to be working in association with the other teams, right? So it's
Absolutely.
when you can visualize the bigger picture of a problem statement and the solution, I believe it helps. Would you agree there?
Oh, absolutely. And this is great. And that's how it should be. Another thing I forgot to mention, I think you asked like previously how you prepare for your jobs and whatnot. One important thing that I want to bring up is that in US, especially in all universities, most of the professors are actually industry veterans, meaning in day they are working with big companies, and in the evening you'll have all your classes. And what that gives you is the kind of project that one is going to work on, that is something that is being being used in the industry on that day. So once you graduate with those creds and that experience working on that technology, you're already set. People will just pick you up right away. So I like that is one of the most like important things that I learned. Like I said, I didn't had prior experience, but by the time I was graduating, I had worked on certain projects which made me ready for the industry.
Yeah.
So it's a huge thing.
You could perhaps talk about it in your resume also, and in your interviews, that these are the projects that I have done with these kind of faculty, and that carries a lot of value.
Absolutely. And once you are working on these projects, you work with these professors so closely that even when you graduate, you can actually sync up with them if there are any openings and whatnot. So it works. That's another way of getting or securing a opportunity outside.
Absolutely. But when your friends who were working, part time to manage
Mhm.
their living in the US, what kind of jobs were they engaged in? Any idea?
Yeah, of course. There'll be tons of jobs. There'll be like every department has their front desk. You can work with them, right? There's going to be TA opportunities, technical assistant with professors. And how they pay you is either they'll pay your tuition fee if you're a TA and whatnot, or if you're working like with an admin job within the university, you'll get your checks and whatnot based on that. There are other opportunities such as you can work with, like for example, I was interested in sports, so there would be opportunities where you can be a part-time coach within the university and help senior coaches and help other students. Um, there are so this is what like you can also work in library as well.
So, how difficult was it to score in the US versus scoring the same over here in India? As in, you got 3.55 GPA around here in your undergrad and then the same over there. So, why was it a struggle there? Is it something different?
Yeah, certainly. Like I've like My experience has been like here in India, it's more about theoretical. And the way we also assess like during exams is about, what sort of algorithm you have learned and, just so from that perspective, yes, it is. And when we talk about getting the same CGPA in US, like I said, all the programs and the projects are all, industry based projects, like whatever technologies that we're using right now, the kind of algorithms they're using, it all depends on that. So, for example, let's say you and I are working on a project, right? I am taking step A, B, C, and you are just taking A and C. Yours is more efficient. Both of our project does the same thing, but you'll probably get a higher grade because it's more efficient. And so that's the gap that I was talking about. I had when dealing with folks who had prior experience. So having some experience is always beneficial, uh, but I also feel like I had no experience, but I had a great time because that kind of pushed me beyond my boundaries to get there and just do as good as they're doing right now.
I think your story is very inspirational for, that you did all you could and you took it as an experience. You moved one step after another and you came out with flying colors and got all that you must have aspired for when you moved out from India. So, and that's very, very hopeful. And I'm sure that the students who are going to be watching this are going to gain a lot of insights. Thank you so much, Atif. This was an extremely insightful experience. We got to hear from an insider who has done it. Uh, and thank you so much for sparing your time.
No, absolutely. First, thank you for having me, and it was a good experience talking to you. And like I said, anything that I can, like any pointers or sharing my experience, if that can help anybody, my fellow students, I'm happy to do that. So yeah,
Thank you. We are grateful.
thank you.
Like I mentioned earlier, we have talked about visa at length. We have talked about MS and MBA degrees. We have talked about STEM courses. We have talked about the kind of jobs which are available right now in the US and globally. And then we have also spoken to someone from the inside who has studied, gone there, worked there, struggled there, and coped up with all the challenges in the most human and real manner.